Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome back to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're doing our second ever Take My Money segment where we're going to look at 5 crowdfunding things. Last week we looked at all Kickstarter. This week we're actually looking at one game found and 4 other Kickstarters that kind of interested us, got us interested in them a little bit. Some we kind of knew were coming. We're expecting them, and then there's a few other ones that we didn't really know too much about. And we looked at a little bit, but yeah, let's get right into it. And definitely in the comments below, let us know what Kickstarters you're currently watching or game found projects, or if you're waiting for one in particular that's coming up. And maybe in 2 weeks, we're hoping to do this every 2 weeks. So maybe in 2 weeks we can look at future ones as well if you've got any suggestions. So. The first one we've got here is Once Upon a Line, The Butterfly's Breath, which is by Perde and Fracas. I think that is that how you say that? Something
I
like
am
that.
not sure. That is
And
why I
then,
let you talk about this one.
right, and then I think they're working with Lucky Duck Games to also print this one in English. Um, Looks like it met its goal pretty well, doing pretty well, 2,000 backers. And it seems like Lucky Duck Games does a lot of those kind of interesting type games. They've kind of come out with, I think Destiny's was pretty interesting. And I think they do, what one was it? I'm blanking. The crime,
Chronicles of
Chronicles of
Crime.
Crime. Yeah.
Yeah, yep,
They
yep.
kind
So
of
they
do
always
really
seem to be
weird.
looking for a way to twist it or a unique thing to bring into a board game.
Right.
It's
And
usually
it's
been
usually
kind of
like story
apps,
driven. Right.
interrogation, and this has got something a little different than that.
Right. So yeah, it's got the scratch off feeling to it. If you have ever done any gambling with scratch offs or whatever lottery ticket type things, it's kind of what it made me think of right away. That's the audience it's going for. It's definitely a unique thing. I think this is probably the most unique kind of project we're going to be looking at this week. And
Yep,
I think
yep,
things like this is kind of what Kickstarter and GameFound and stuff should really be for, is kind of games that are taking that little bit of risk where it's like,
yeah,
I don't
yep,
know if a lot of people are looking for this necessarily or not. It's kind of a
yeah,
good way for them to know, like, okay, we've got 2,000 people backing it,
yeah,
so
for sure.
we're a little more safe to
Yeah, you don't
make
really want
something
to
that
just go out on a limb, not knowing if anyone's interested in something as different as this.
right. Because yeah, I think what do they call them? Grids of destiny. You're going through and scratching words off.
So
And
it's
if
a
you watch
word
the
game.
video, it's very, very dramatic.
Most
They need to start a scratch off channel where they're like, oh, what am I going to win? It's a winner. Ooh, $5.
most dramatic word game ever.
Right. Um, yeah, I mean, it definitely looks interesting. And I think I'd seen some ads for this one before it came out. And it was one that, oh, I'm going to definitely take a look and see kind of what this one looks like.
Yeah,
Might be one that I would back, but um, I think it's still an interesting thing, and I wouldn't
yeah,
mind playing it sometime, but it almost seems like something that might be a bit too simple, and the price point, you can get into, I think you can get into the Pledge Manager, but you can kind of get into the main box for $43, but I wasn't really sure. I couldn't really tell if that was a ton of game because
yeah,
I don't know that this one's really replayable without purchasing like extra packs and stuff. So that's like a decent price to get into a board game usually, especially
yeah.
on a Kickstarter and stuff. But I don't know how many plays that necessarily is. Um, and
Yeah, it's
then once you
interesting
get
that.
all the other stuff, it starts being like $90 to $100. And then I didn't know if that was almost too much for a game that seemed relatively simple. But there's
Yeah,
over
I think
33,000 words.
that is a lot of words. Um, but yeah, it's one that it's obviously an interesting thing, but one that was a little scary, just being a little maybe too different and not too
Mhm.
much of a game. So I think
Right.
this is going to have to rely on the storytelling, possibly.
Hmm.
Um, but then with Lucky Duck Games kind of giving this the go ahead and kind of being the company to release this, that restores a little faith. for me. That they must actually think this has enough game, because a lot of their games probably could have been the same feeling from me of, is this really going to be
Right.
enough of a game? And obviously, I've really enjoyed their other games, so I'm a little more interested in this one probably than you, but still, there's that worry of the replayability. It's not like you can unscratch off the sheets.
Right.
They do have a recharge pack available here, which I think there's different paths you can go down in the story, but
Right.
just how different those are going to be, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that worries me, especially at the price point to get those.
Yeah,
It just gets to be probably a little too much for me for what seems like is going to be a pretty simple game. But um, yeah, I could see this one being interesting to some people. And like I said, if someone offered to, you know, play it with me or something, they had the game and they wanted to play it, I would definitely. It's not that I wouldn't try it out for sure, but I just don't know that this would be one that I would quite back. It's not
yeah,
quite what I was hoping for when I
yeah,
heard of that interesting thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the artwork's good and stuff too. So I mean, I think it's gonna be for some people. Uh, but yeah. Anything else about that one?
Not much. I'm interested to see kind of what the community thinks once this is actually out there, and
I agree.
overall what the reaction is.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, then our next one is one that Pepper suggested: Batman
Yes,
Escape from Arkham Asylum. He's the big Batman fan.
yes, huge Batman fan. I've seen
Maybe
like
not.
one or two movies.
Right, yeah. I would say we're probably neither of us are that. I mean, have that much knowledge of Batman
Yeah,
and kind of the
yeah.
world and stuff. Could probably name maybe some of the heroes in the world and some of the villains, but
Probably
at
name
least
more
for
of the
me, I don't know if I
villains
can
than
go
the
much
heroes.
further
Yeah,
than that.
yeah. But yeah, this one is pretty much you take on the role of the villains, which are probably the funnest characters in the universe. So that's nice, but you're in the asylum, the Arkham Asylum, and pretty much just, I mean, I didn't get much like actual gameplay, how to play from this page,
Right.
but pretty much you will be running around trying to escape the asylum, and I think crafting items and battling as well, and not trying to alert too much. Otherwise, Batman will show up and likely kick your butt.
Hmm.
But yeah, just kind of the look of it kind of made me think of Nemesis. Not that I've played that, but kind of made me think of that. Just running around the map and a big bad possibly coming out and um, taking you back, taking you down. It's
Yeah.
interesting. It looks like pretty cool components. The miniatures and the characters are all iconic and recognizable.
Hmm.
But yeah, I just feel there's probably other games that would provide what this provides that I would choose over it. Um,
Right.
Although it does look really nice. Um, Nothing overly stands out to me on this one.
Right. I would agree. And like you said, I couldn't really tell everything, and I'm sure I could go into maybe some reviews and videos that they have on it, but from the page, it couldn't really get much of what the game does or what kind of would set it apart from maybe some other dungeon crawler type games. But yeah, the miniatures and stuff look pretty cool. Some of that, the dice look really cool as well. Um, and yeah, I think the worst part is not the biggest Batman fan, so I
Yeah,
really like the Dark Knight movie, but outside of that, I don't know that much about Batman, and it doesn't excite me that much. So, when I see $136 for what I assume is the basic pledge, it seems like a
yeah,
lot. It looks like you
yeah,
get a lot, but it
yeah,
does seem like a lot on that. Um, and I think this
yeah.
one's doing pretty well. So, almost
Yep,
getting close to 500,000. Another 2,000 backer project, so pretty
yeah,
solid.
yeah, for
And
sure.
looks like you can get even more content for 200, or must be about everything for
Even
300
more
almost.
content.
Or you can get the retailer pledge. um,
That's what I always back.
yes, get 5 copies of the game. Um, but no, I think if you liked Batman, this one could be interesting. But it does seem like, and I haven't played any of them. It seems like there's quite a few Batman games that I hear about all the time, but I don't know that I've ever heard of many being good or like great.
Yeah,
Maybe
just
good, but not great.
yeah, I've heard like just a couple that certain people will really like, but overall, I haven't heard of one that's just taken the community by storm or been phenomenal.
Right.
Um,
So maybe it'll be this one.
yeah, it might be. It might be.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Um,
probably a pass for us on this one. Just a little too much
mhm.
for an IP we are not overly into at the moment.
Right. Yeah, especially but this one maybe like the other one, if all of a sudden when this delivers or whatever, a lot of people are talking about it being an amazing, great game. I mean, like I said, I think it looks like a solid. A
Oh
lot of
boy,
good
that is a
stuff in
lot
there,
of
but
minis.
that's a lot of mini. So maybe it'd be something worth trying out at some point, but
Yeah,
yeah, I think it would take a lot of good recommendations to for me to probably even try this one out, I would guess. Um, oh gosh,
got the
need to
nice.
research.
Jeez.
I
There
gotta
we
get this good look on this one. I think it's Arborea or something along those lines. This one's got 2,000 backers as well. These all have 2,000 backers,
Will they all?
ish. But yeah, this one met its goal pretty well, and I think immediately from the cover, I get some similarity feelings to Bitoku with the artwork and kind of just the board being very colorful and having a lot
Yeah.
going on. That
The
kind of reminds
board
me a little bit of that.
kind of makes me think of like a roll and write. Kind of reminds
That's
me of
true.
Sonora,
Yeah,
some of the parts of that map.
that was on there. Yeah,
So
I would
it's
agree.
kind of a weird feeling to have it just be like a worker placement game because it just really
Mhm.
looks like it has those tracks kind of that it'd be crossing off. So I was
Right,
very disappointed once I initially thought this was a roll and write, flip and write, and it turned out to be a very heavy, much heavier game.
right. So yeah, this is a part of the Alley Cat Advanced Games line. So 1 to 5 players. Looks like it's going to be about a 2-hour game at least, I would guess. Um, but yeah, I'm definitely interested in this one. I think it's got a time type mechanism, sort of like Zulkin. Not quite. I mean, it doesn't have the gears and stuff, but it has these panels that you put place workers on, and then
Yeah.
they kind of move towards the center. And those lines that you were talking about kind of give you better and better rewards the longer you wait. And then I don't know. It sounded like there was some interesting thing on shared resources, which
Yeah.
I didn't fully understand how they worked.
Yeah, I think you
But
can
then they
like
kind of like help you complete goals or something to then make your what's Fall of the Mountain King type board thing where you're kind of connecting all the stuff. Let's see if they've got it here. So yeah, you put your resources on this board.
yeah, I
This
think
is
you
what I
get
didn't quite
points
understand.
if you produce them and don't use them or something, you get points, which I assume is the blue number.
Hmm.
But then, of course, the other players can come and use all of those.
Right, right. To be able
It's
to,
cool. Cool idea.
yeah. That's why. Yeah, initially I was like, this looks like a medium to heavyweight Euro. Don't know if I need more of that, but that did sound like a cool
But I don't know
thing.
if that would be great for 2 players. That's our
Yeah,
primary player count. I don't know if that would be
not sure.
overly interesting.
I'm
Um,
not sure how it'll work at two. But yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff looks pretty nice enough. Um, ooh, some screen printed. I always love that. Um, but yeah, it sounded like I was listening to someone talk about it a little bit because it's probably this is probably the one I'm second most interested in, and they said that these seemed like a good size, and the board might have seemed a little small, and like the icons, they'd rather the board be increased, but it sounds like it might actually be decreasing these
uh,
things. So I don't know. Hopefully that's not the case,
hmm,
but um, because yeah, I like a good size meeple. I'd rather have the board bigger than
yeah,
bringing shrinking things in this type of game when you've got a lot of iconography or a lot of different things on the board. Um, but yeah, so it
ooh,
looks
an
like
expansion right off the bat.
there we go. We got a boat meeple. I don't know if that's necessarily a meeple, but it's a wooden boat.
They
I guess
couldn't
we
come
could
up with
call
a
it a
good
meeple,
pun
fish
for.
meeples. Um, yeah, looks like a lot of stuff in here. Well, if you get the expansion as well, and kind of some stretch goals that were being reached. I don't know if it shows them. Okay, here we're showing
Ooh,
kind of
that
that little bit of
slide.
movement. Look at that. Look at all those resources
Look
they're
at that.
getting.
You got way more than the other people.
Yeah. Old Purple's not going to get anything. I don't know how that works exactly. Um, See, I didn't fully understand why you
Yeah.
didn't want to hold them on there for longer, or
I think
like,
maybe you could get bumped off to that last spot or something, maybe.
oh, yeah,
Don't know.
that's true.
I don't know how much control you have over it. Then you got
Right.
some, just feels kind of added on. I don't know how the gameplay works here, but then you got a card
Where you
terrain
put them.
building
Yes. And
aspect.
this is kind of I'm not sure how important this is in the whole game. But this is kind of what got me because I really, really loved Fall of the Mountain King, and
Because you
it's
really love
not quite
Hokkaido.
like this, but this was a similar thing to this was my probably my favorite part of the game, and it just has me a little more interested, even though I don't know it's not quite the same, but it's got a similar feel to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's got a lot of good stuff here and got some reviews and previews. But then I think another thing that kind of had me excited was like the base game pledge is $48 US, 38 euro. And then the actual Kickstarter exclusive edition is only a little bit more at $58. So it's
Yeah.
not a terrible price
Pretty good.
for a Kickstarter. You
I
got the
assume that would
group
include
pledge.
all the upgraded bits,
I
everything to
believe so.
wood, and
So I
wow,
mean,
yeah, that's pretty
yeah,
good
58
price.
and shipping, and probably not too bad for a Kickstarter game. Uh,
Yeah,
it looks like about $13 shipping US, so $70. I mean, compared to a lot of Kickstarters, that's not bad.
yeah, that's about as good as you're gonna get for a game that looks as big and pretty as this.
Yeah, it's got a lot. Looks like it's got a lot going on, and that might be the only thing that could hold it back from being a great game. Sometimes I feel like companies try to put too much into a game sometimes, and kind of bring in too many ideas that might
Yeah,
on their own be really good ideas, but then you almost put too much, and then it just starts getting a little confusing. I don't know if that's the case for this game, but um,
yeah,
I would. We'll see. I'd potentially think of getting this one. Um, 'Cause, yeah, I don't.
yeah.
I guess I don't know. Maybe I'd check out Alley Cat games. I don't know how likely they are to have it after in like retail.
Oh, yeah,
That way, I could kind of see once more and more people get it, kind of their thoughts on it, and if it kind of sticks out comparatively to some other Euro
mm,
games. But this is one that would be on my radar. I would say probably not so much for you, I guess.
yeah. Not as much, other than obviously looking phenomenal. But there are quite a few games that do look phenomenal, so I have to kind of not
Right.
get too excited just based on that. And but yeah, I was expecting you to be a little more leaning towards getting this one,
No,
but
that's a good
we'll
guess.
see.
I am. We'll
Controlling
see.
yourself a little more nowadays.
Right. Yes, I have to. But yeah, so we got that one. And we've got Coal Baron.
Oh,
Uh,
not 2,000 backers. Oof.
no, only
But more
500.
days to go than the rest.
Yes, and it's at 38,000. And it's really disappointing because we actually have the other
Ooh,
edition of Coal Baron. And I think, was it in my top 50 games of all time? If it
I
wasn't, it was right on the edge.
think so. I think so. Yeah.
It's it's a really good game. It's a really solid game. I liked it quite a bit. I love it. I love the game. It's really a solid one, and
It is.
it is one that could definitely use some love of kind of having some upgrades and stuff. So, kind of getting a new, updated edition is something that excites me a bit. But I would say I'm a little disappointed at kind of what this one has. I'll still say I really love Cold Baron, and if it seems interesting to you, I give Colbert in the game two thumbs up. So if
For
you're on
sure.
the edge because you didn't know about the gameplay, I
Yeah.
would say yes. But
I would
yeah, I don't
highly
know.
recommend it as well. Yeah.
Yes. Um, I don't know that I love the original cover, but I like it quite a bit more than this new cover.
I like the original cover quite a bit. I kind of like that perspective. You lose that a little bit with this new one. Yeah, there we go. It's a little more unique, that older cover, I feel, where
Mhm.
this one having kind of just a guy sitting on the cover, it just feels pretty generic.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Um,
feels way more Euro-y,
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of a just a non-smiling guy on
yeah,
the cover. But yeah, I would say I think there's a couple. I've never run a Kickstarter, so I'm not saying that it's easy or anything. I think they made a couple mistakes on this one, and I almost would have restarted it to maybe get a little more hype going because I think if you start slow, it's tough to ever get going on Kickstarter because I think that's kind of
yeah,
your initial days are pretty high and then it kind of cuts down, quite a
yep,
bit, especially for I think they had about a 30-day campaign. So it starts to really lull for a while and then kind of maybe picks up a little bit at the end. And I think the pricing on this one is a little high. Uh, just right off the bat, it was already $82, and then shipping
yeah,
made it
yeah,
like over $100. Even with the new stuff and having meeples, because originally I think they're like, I don't know, weird pieces, not meeples. Even with meeples, and I think they included some coins. Let's see here. Now
mhm, yep,
they got to the stretch goals. They didn't want to reveal what any of them were until they funded, which also I think hurt. And then
yeah,
partway through, they did not originally include the playmat and UV printed meeples. So this was something I think they tried to add to kind of get it moving a little bit
oh,
more.
yep,
So I almost think if they would have just restarted, change a few things up from the new beginning, I think it could have got a little more traction. I think at that point it was almost a little too late. Um, but yeah,
yeah,
this elevator thing, I think now this is a double layered board. Originally, it's like a weird piece that fits in there, an
mhm,
art edition anyway, that I would much prefer a double layered board and then
yeah,
have the thing go up and down.
yeah,
I find it to be really fun. It's a little bit gimmicky, but
yeah.
it's fun.
It
Um,
works.
right. And then I think maybe the big difference was they had metal coins.
Yeah, I think they do
Um,
have money there, banknotes.
yeah.
I assume that's, I don't know
And
if
the
that's paper like the original, which I'm a fan of paper money. I like it, something different. So I do enjoy that in the original, but metal coins as well are
mhm,
ought to be very cool. I see the coal cubes are
a
a
little
little
bit different
different,
looking, look
not
cooler.
quite cubes, but yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
pretty cool.
I think originally this is a updated picture from what I originally looked at. But originally I was looking at the coins and I wasn't all that impressed by them. So I was like, I didn't see that as much of a plus, but I do really like coins. So
Yeah,
um, I can't really tell how nice these ones are. It's kind of a weird picture. They look like
yeah,
they could be good. Um,
yeah,
so I would say that would add some value
yeah,
comparatively.
for sure.
And then I think they added these boxes. There was no boxes in the original, but I don't know that that's
Yeah,
anything that's going to make me pay probably twice as much as what we paid for it.
that is a very terrible game tray right there.
It's got
I
a
don't
lump
think
of
that's going to
coal,
work at all. You're not even going to be able to fit the lid on.
right? But yeah, after all that negative stuff though that I've said, I really do enjoy the game, and I think it looks like they've added some new things and updated a few things. So
Yeah,
I think you might get your money's worth. I don't know if they should have included maybe a more of a retail type level pledge that
oh,
was a
yeah,
little more affordable, just to get
yeah,
some other people in that maybe don't like.
yeah.
We don't
Because
typically ever use playmats, so playmat to
yeah,
us really doesn't add value. It's
yeah,
cool, but I don't in this game I don't know if you need a playmat.
yeah. Because it's not like this is like a super popular game where everyone diehard fans are just waiting for a deluxe edition.
Right.
I think they still need to get a lot of those people who haven't even heard of the game to buy it, and with that price point, I think that's going to be hard to get a lot of them.
I would agree. For some, it's a game that doesn't have all that much in it to begin with. So yeah, I think that's going to be a hard sell,
Yeah,
which which is why I kind of wish just for the sake of it, because it is a great game and I want more people to be able to play it and stuff. I almost wish they would have restarted to try to just change a few things from the onset and then hopefully get running a little quicker and um, maybe it'd catch on a little bit more. But
yeah.
we'll see. Maybe we might have to check this one out 2 weeks. I think it should still be going on, so maybe
Yeah.
there'll be some major updates by then.
Once our video hits,
Right. To the moon. Now people know it's a great game and they'll be like, oh, they said it. We got to get this game. Uh,
So they have more funding than our next one here.
yes, so if these two combined, we get to on average almost 6,000 between these last two backers. Uh, but no, we've got Marvel United Multiverse.
So almost like twice as many backers as the rest of these combined here.
Right,
12,000.
right.
Oh boy.
Which isn't surprising because they've already run two different Marvel United campaigns and they've both been wildly successful, I would
Oh,
say.
for sure. For
But
sure.
we hadn't actually played it until after those two had already both run. And I think a lot of people had speculated that there would be possibly uh, another campaign at some point, but didn't know if it would be additional Marvel people just because they've used so many of them, and or if it would maybe if they go out and get like the license for some DC characters and then make it so you could play with both of them. Not saying that couldn't still happen, but we
Oh,
got
it's gonna happen.
so there is now there was already a ton of content out there for this, but now there's even more. Um, so yeah, that's uh, you've got I don't know all these characters, Pepper. You know every single one of them, but
Yeah, I know every single one. I have gone back. Once this hit Kickstarter, I went back, read all the comics ever released by Marvel, and I know every single one of these, their entire story.
yes, but
I
I
know
think
probably like maybe 15% of these characters.
yeah, if even well for me, I don't know if I
Yeah.
know all that many of them. But it looks like kind of their main couple offerings are either you can get the Herald Pledge, which is the base box, along with the Coming of Galactus. So I think it's their biggest um, evil mini so far. So that's $100, and it also would come with Iron
Oh
Lad.
boy, Iron Lad.
Not sure who that is. I think this is the person that I am going to play with if we get this.
How is that a hero?
Coed or something. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but that's who I'm going to play as. I don't know how that's a hero. It doesn't look like a hero.
Name is
Uh,
Chad.
but yeah, I think they've got some. I don't know if they did they do any of this fire like or like these
They
different colors for other ones?
did some maybe for the X-Men
Oh,
campaign.
I
I
wasn't
think
sure
there
if they
were a
did or not.
couple there. But yeah, it's just really cool. I see those and I'm like, oh, that I don't know any of these characters, but it has me excited just to see those miniatures.
Yes, I would agree because yeah, I don't know that many either, but um, it just goes to show how many characters there are out there, and like somewhere out there, this is some of these are probably someone's favorite character,
Yeah.
and now they're finally going to get them in the game
Yeah, I see
potentially.
people in comments just like rattling off all the characters that they want to see, and there's like
Right.
20 or 30 of them, and I've never heard of any of them, and they're
Hmm.
not even in the game yet, and
Right.
they already have hundreds of characters in this game.
Right.
It's crazy.
It is. But then
Um,
they've also got a new box here, War of Kings.
I like
Looks
that
like it
pig
comes with
or
a
whatever his name is. Oh
what's that?
boy, I like that pig character.
Pig
Oh
character.
boy.
This
Hmm? Yeah,
is
or
that a
dog.
pig or a dog?
That might be a dog.
I've always thought it was
Dog
a
pig.
dog, but maybe it's a pig.
Oh, yeah, probably a dog. The nose is not a pig.
Uh, but
Ooh.
then we got the Age of Apocalypse, which is even more characters, and Multiverse playmat, so double-sided it looks like.
Oh boy.
And we got Team decks, which I think are something new. Promo Team decks. Are those new, Pepper? You know everything there is
Those
to
are
know.
new. I think Team Decks it kind of allows you instead of playing a card from your hand. I think there's like two available, and you can play one of those instead, or something like
Hmm.
that. From my understanding, I could be way off.
I mean,
Uh,
that sounds interesting. Another kind of little tweak on it.
they add that I think they add equipment cards as well, so you can actually
Oh,
like use like Mjolnir, the hammer, or Cap Shield. I'm not sure exactly how those will play, but just to give
mhm,
those their actual card and a special effect, that has me pretty excited as well.
mhm. Yeah, and it looks like we've got some classic optional buys. So you can get classic promo bundle for 220, United promos, Mutant promos, Fantastic Four as well. So yeah, there's already a ton kind of describes the gameplay. It's relatively simple game, but I think like you said, the equipment I think might add a little more to it as well. But I think it's just enough and it's short enough. I think the combo of those things work really, really well for
Yeah, for
this.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one that I think will probably be backing one of us,
Mhm.
me if you do not, for sure. Um, and I assume they've added kind of the promos from the original Kickstarters. They've added the Fantastic Four, which was an add on from the X-Men Kickstarter.
Mm.
And in the X-Men Kickstarter, they eventually added on pretty much everything from the first
Okay.
Kickstarter. So I would think that everything would become available by the time that this ends. And if so, um, I feel like it could be a good time to go back and kind of get the expansions that we are missing from the original Kickstarter, which probably features most of the characters that we'd be interested in.
Mhm.
I think we have Asgard and Spider Man.
Right.
But I think there are a few more back there that we did not get our hands on. So I'm
Mhm.
thinking of possibly going in, adding those, possibly that promo box, which is 120 bucks, but for I think I did the math and it was about $2.60 per character and villain. Which I'm like, you get a cool mini, you get a deck of cards for
Or not.
those. They are all cool, and yeah, and then the villains especially. As I played more villains, I feel like the ones in the original Marvel United were a lot more similar to each other than the others because I've tried Goblin from Spider-Man one and one from X-Men, and those felt like way different than any of the others that I had played. So
Mhm.
each villain that you can add in there just has me excited as to how they can change the game up.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
at
I think
some
I.
level or another, I think I'll be backing this one.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I've heard people say that they wanted more villains versus more heroes, just because villains kind of add more kind of fights or things to do. Um, so yeah, it looks like this one has a few more villains that they've been putting out, so that's good as well. Like you said, it kind of changes that up a little bit more. It looks like the shipping is probably going to vary depending on how much of the stuff you end up getting, but at a minimum for the new stuff, it's already going to almost cost you, $30 to $50 for in shipping alone. And yeah, like you said, I think we'll probably be backing some of this.
Yeah,
I don't know exactly what we'll back yet, but definitely be backing some of this for sure. But yeah, those are the five we're looking at so far. I would say the likelihood, well, almost 99% going to back this one. And then it probably goes
because
to about,
they need our help, as you can see.
yeah,
It's climbing by the thousands per second.
right. But after that, the next one that I would probably say would be Arborea, if I were to. And then the rest, both of
I,
those.
I'd probably have Once Upon a Line as my probably second one that I'd go to, just
Okay.
because it is unique and just interested to see how that all comes together.
Hmm. Yeah. And I can't say much about Batman. Like I said, I'm not a big
Yeah,
fan of the Batman lore, so I'm not the best person to ask. But Cole Baron, as I said, even though some of the things I may have thought maybe could have done a little bit differently, it's still an amazing game. So if you think kind of the playmat adds value, the coins add value, and all that stuff, I think then you're probably getting your money's worth. So then I would definitely suggest this one as a pretty
yeah,
solid game.
for sure. Definitely
I'm not
deserves
sure,
more love.
right? I'm not. I'm not sure if this one will come to like a retail because if they made a retail version afterwards, it might be better to wait for that. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not. So that's the hard part about some of these.
Yeah, and I don't know, is the original even that available?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because we had to get it off of eBay, I think. So,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
a really fun game. So yeah, those are all the games that are going to take our money this week. Like I said in the comments below, let us know what you're backing, what you're excited about that's coming up. But otherwise, we hope to see you on the next one. And as always, don't forget to
Keep on nibbling.
on Archon.